Hey guys, welcome to News Rocky, and today we have I got to tell you, I'm just overwhelmed. We have a very special guest who is actually zooming in from California. She's actually LA time, so we're going to be respectful to her. It looks like things are just starting to crack up there in California, early morning. But we are really excited to have this guest. As we've been talking about, Stormy Daniels. That's right, Stormy Daniels. And we're going to be talking to Stormy about, what's going on currently with Stormy Daniels, how this whole trip has been for her, the ride of a lifetime, so to speak, her experiences over the last 4, 7, 10, her whole lifetime, actually, and right into her entrepreneurial experience now into the CBD world. We'll be talking with Stormy Daniels about that in a moment, so make sure you get in the ring with News Rocky. And welcome back to News Rocky. Again, this is Kevin, your host, and we are just so pleased today, this special guest coming in to have this conversation with us and talk about her new line in the CBD product world, talk about some of her other experiences in the CBD world, and, we'll just talk a little bit about life. Stormy Daniels, welcome to the News Rocky Show. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Great. Awesome to have you. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I will tell you, Stormy, as I was prepping up for this interview with you, I spent the last 7 days watching 24 hours around the clock video interviews of you with everyone from out of Jimmy Kimmel right on over to the biggest stars and doing interviews in Britain. So you've been a busy person, have you not?
I have been very busy. You got to be careful doing those research videos. You might get yourself in trouble. Most of my videos are not safe for work.
Well, we can get right into that since you jumped in and opened the door for me. Listen, I'm a fan. You've been in the adult industry for a long time. What I want to tell you is I like about you is you don't, you're not apologetic about who you are. You actually, I think you represent the reality of really the business. You're a professional woman who takes it professionally. And there's so many people that, look down on professions, especially that. How's it feel? I mean, you've kind of brought and shed a different light on your industry. You feel a little pride behind that?
It's a double-edged sword for sure. Like, I took a lot of pride in my time in the adult industry. I'm actually on set right now. That's okay. All the camera gear behind me. We're going to be shooting a scene here in about an hour, the location that I'm at. And, I had no regrets about any of the things that I did. I did it on my own terms. I was with the longest running contract star ever in the adult business. I've directed 150 movies, won director of the year multiple times. I did it all on my terms, and I loved every minute of it. And I really think that I paved the way for some other female directors. And I made adult movies okay for women to watch. And I had a lot of female fans come up to me, and that was a big deal for them because men and women are both turned on by watching adult movies, but women are taught that the girls in those films are being exploited or whatever. But if I'm writing and directing and starring in my own movies, I took that guilt away. So I enabled couples and women to enjoy adult movies and use it as a marital aid a lot of cases, because most of the movies I did were couples films. I actually had a line for Wicked Pictures called Wicked Passions, which was all romance movies, and you can see them on Showtime and Cinemax still to this day. And I think that I kind of made it okay for women to explore their fantasies watching things because I took away that guilt. And I stood up for myself in the business quite a bit, because when I first started, a lot of people didn't think that someone who was in front of the camera, a woman who was in front of the camera, should be behind the camera. And I got a lot of shit for it, I gotta tell you.
Like so what? What kind of shit were you? I mean, if you're getting shit from people, you're talking in the industry, or just the Bible thumping shit that typically happens.
Well, that's a given, duh. Yeah. Like any adult film star is gonna get that stuff. Right. I'm talking about like when I first started directing and producing my own films, the reviewers would give a review of the movie and be like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest movie ever. It's 5 stars. It's this, it's that." And then at the end, they'd be like, "Oh, she probably didn't really direct it. They just put her name on it to help sell it."
Right.
And I mean, I fought for years to be taken seriously as a director. I would, go after these reviewers so hard, be like, "I don't care if you liked the movie or dislike the movie. That's fine. Everybody has an opinion. If you hated the movie that I did, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But don't say that you loved it and that I didn't do the work."
So
Because
you
your
actually
opinion
you
is
actually
one.
are fighting the glass ceiling within your own industry, right? I mean, it sounds
I
like,
did.
you know.
I did, and I fought really hard for a really long time. I worked my ass off, and I did get the respect. I ended up winning Best Director several times. You know, I wrote, directed 3 of the 5 biggest adult movies. You know, I had a lot of success, and I worked my way up because my end goal was I wanted to direct horror movies and music videos.
And
I had
are you on that direction now? I've heard some rumor that you're possibly getting into that space.
Right. So I was leaving the adult, I was not leaving the adult business, but I was, you know, stopped for performing and was focusing on just directing and was starting to direct mainstream stuff. And I just directed a big music video that has never been released because the Trump stuff broke.
Okay.
And so I worked all these years to be taken seriously as a director. And all of that went out the window because now all I'm known for is the stuff that happened with Trump. And
What
people
was the movie?
accuse
What was the music video? If you might, is it okay if you mention, or is it still?
it was a band called Black Circus, and it never came out.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of the song honestly, but it was very good.
Yep.
The video was very good. And so like all anybody wanted to talk about was the political stuff.
Right.
It was very frustrating because I just felt like all of this work that I had done for the 15 years before that was just erased, because now anybody knows me as, it's not Stormy Daniels, the director, not Stormy Daniels, the writer, not even Stormy Daniels so much the actress.
Mm-hmm.
It's Stormy Daniels from the Trump thing.
Right.
You know, it's like very frustrating for me. And it was, you know, one of the misconceptions about that whole political scandal was that I did it because I was leaving the adult industry, or I was washed up, or I was desperate, or needed money, or whatever. What people don't realize is that I was doing very well for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I had just signed a huge contract with Brazzers, was going to make me the second highest paid director in the adult business. And I had been nominated for 17 AVN Awards the week that the Trump story broke. Mm-hmm. I think I was doing just fine. And now all of that is gone because people stopped hiring me to direct because they were afraid that I'd be shooting a scene and press, you know, paparazzi might show up. And so I was just kind of too hot to.
So what I'm hearing is, in a sense, the experience through this involvement with the Trump campaign and all this noise in the media, you were actually sort of shut down in your own industry because of fear of maybe, they want to keep it underground and keep their productions moving without being exposed by the corporate media.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And so I got so busy that I had to end up taking a break from writing and directing. You know, I'm back in LA right now, actually, for the first time in like 2 years. And I'm not here to shoot adult movies, which I would be fine with doing and have nothing against it, obviously. Yep. I'm staying here because I was shooting interviews and wraparounds for my paranormal show, Spooky Babes. But it just so happens they're going to start shooting porn behind me at any moment. So.
Well, hey, listen, you know what? We're good with as long as we can get with you, we'll stay in this interview. Can I ask you just in regards to, and I want to move forward. I want to hear about you and your story and your business ventures. I want to hear about you, the person who grew up you grew up in Texas, is that correct? Or
no, I'm from Louisiana.
Louisiana. I'm sorry. You live in Texas now. I want to hear that story, but let me ask you, let's get the Trump thing out of the way, right? So let's get the elephant in the room out of the way, right? Listen, I got to tell you, I voted for the guy, and I'm not here to argue or debate, and I don't want to get into the political side of things. I think you were so to the point during this whole process that the media, I watched each one of these videos. It looks like they were licking their chops every time they got a chance to talk to you. And I'm talking about the corporate media. They just ran you right through, and it looked like they couldn't tell this story enough. And do you feel like you've been exploited from the corporate media?
Yes and no. It was the thing that annoyed me the most is all anybody cared about was the salacious details. You know what I mean? Like, how many times can you talk about what somebody's penis looks like? Like, really? Like, it kind of sheds a light on how sad our political system, our press, journalism, or whatever you want to call it, just us as a collective that they care more about who he slept with than all the other stuff. And it shouldn't matter who he had sex with. Like, who freaking cares? Like, everybody was missing the point. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that, it doesn't matter. What matters is the rest of the stuff. And nobody ever wanted to talk about that. And when I did a big turning point for me when I realized how bad it was when I did, when the story first broke and I was like, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not doing anything. I was trying to honor the NDA. I was the last person to actually honor it. I don't know if you listened to the Michael Cohen podcast, but he finally, fessed up to kind of that. Like, I was the last person to talk. They actually did it first because they kept wanting me to make additional statements. But so suddenly I have all these news outlets and journalists coming at me and wanting me to story. And I turned down hundreds of thousands of dollars in interviews. I know Good Morning America was going to pay me a ton. And I mean, you name it. There was a company in Germany, I can't remember, somewhere overseas that offered me $150,000 for just a 20-minute interview. So, and I turned down all of that stuff. And finally, when I was like, you know what, I have to get my side out because I was just being attacked constantly and couldn't defend myself. So I just, much to the dismay of my manager and publicist at the time, I decided to do the 60 Minutes episode with Anderson Cooper because they don't pay. So nobody could ever accuse me of doing it for the money. Like I could have done that same interview with so many other news outlets and made bank. And I chose to do it for free so that nobody could ever say that I was paid for it, which
that was a conscious decision you made. And that hasn't been talked about. I mean, most of the videos, they don't ask these types of questions in these interviews. And I'm glad you're making some real clarity here because everyone assumed you were just after a paycheck.
Yeah, and I didn't get paid at all for that interview. And it was this, I think besides Obama, it's the
22 million people viewed that.
Yeah, it's the most viewed 60 Minutes in the last like 10 or 15 years besides when Obama did his. And that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely.
And even they interviewed me for like 3.5 hours. It was pretty intense.
It was only about 22 minutes or 20 minutes actually of airtime, or 15 even, I think.
Yeah, whatever it was, but we covered so much and all they talked about was the sex stuff. Even such a respected outlet like 60 Minutes, where you thought all they wanted to talk about was like, what position did you have sex in and what did his penis look like? And I'm just like, really, like who cares? There was so much more important stuff there. And the only reason that I ever even talked about like the physical details of what he looked like is because he called me a liar. I wish I didn't have to describe his penis. I wish he had a birthmark the shape of Texas on his butt cheek or something, but I had to say something that only I would know or only someone who had been intimate with him would know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. It makes sense. Yeah.
And honestly, if I was lying, like he claims I am, just drop your pants, dude. Prove it.
So you're challenging. We'll make sure that Donald Trump, the 45th president, if you are willing to drop your pants and prove that you don't have the shape of Texas on your buttocks, we can move on. Is that what you said?
Well, I wish he had the shape of Texas on his buttocks.
You said a birthmark, it looked like Texas. Listen, I don't want to actually, you know what? You've been asked these questions so many times. I want to focus in on your story. There's no need to go back to where we were. And quite honestly, I'm not corporate media. I'm not part of that whole process. I want to hear about you and your story. How did you get here? And let me ask this.
Yeah, I ask myself that every day.
I mean, it's got to be a crazy ride, Stormy. Stormy, it's got to be crazy. I don't know. You pinch yourself, and you're the most recognizable person, on the planet, and still. It seems like you were just current. I think within days ago, you were just currently trending with your most current Supreme Court hearings, or at least I guess it got turned down. Is that correct? Your Supreme Court?
Yeah. So let me address that because you're actually the first person that I've talked to since that happened.
Please do.
And the whole reason, that whole defamation case. Let me go all the way back to the beginning. My former attorney approached me and wanted to sue him for defamation, sue Trump for defamation. And I was like, this is so stupid. Like, I don't want to do this. It just seems, dumb. What did he call me? He called me a horse face and a liar. I was like, do you know what I get called like on a daily basis, on an hourly basis? Like, that's the least offensive thing that someone has said to me in the last, whatever. This is stupid. This is stupid. But then he filed it without my permission. And the problem is that he did it really terribly. But then I started to think about it. And then I started to get the backlash from that tweet that Trump put up about me. And I realized, you know what? I hate to admit it, but perhaps my attorney had a very good point. Sadly, his filings were terribly done, but his point was right. So if you put up a tweet, Kevin, and you said, Stormy's ugly, or I think she's fat, or I think she's stupid, you know what? It might be a shitty thing to say about somebody, but that's your opinion and you're entitled to it, right? But if you put up a tweet and you say Stormy is a thief or Stormy is a liar, which is what he did, that absolutely is defamation, and it affected my, it affected my reputation. So you can't just call somebody things like, I didn't lie, therefore it was defamation. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to continue this fight even after I got rid of that attorney and I had a new one, and we went all the way. And it looks like up until a couple of days ago, I have to tell you, I even got a text from my ex who's in law school now and stuff, and my attorney. We were pretty confident that we were going to get taken up at the Supreme Court. And the problem is that this is what is the worst part about my life in this exact moment. Before Biden was elected, I could put up a tweet, and it could be about anything. It could be like, hey, check me out on this, or hey, watch me on this episode of this, or whatever it could be. And I would get like 40,000 likes or whatever. I can put up a tweet today and it gets, 10% of that. They also took as soon as Biden was elected, they took away my verified blue check mark on Twitter. I still have 1.3 million followers or something like that, but I had that blue check mark before the Trump stuff happened. And it's not because I'm a porn star, because all the other big name porn stars still have their blue check mark. It's just me, and I didn't violate anything.
So but let me ask you this, because censorship and we hear, cancel, you hear all these cute terms out there. It sounds to me, and this would be if you're saying Twitter, has it happened on any of the other platforms that you know of? So Twitter
No,
only.
I'm still verified on Instagram. I don't have a public Facebook or anything like that. But the thing is that they won't tell me why they took it. They're like, oh, we'll send you an email. We'll send you an email. They never did. They won't respond to my request to get it put back. So now there's a whole bunch of copycat accounts up there, taking money from guys and doing interviews, because there's no way to differentiate my verified accounts and because there used to just be that blue check mark, which was the only thing that separated them. And now there's no way to tell the difference.
So can we do something right now, Stormy? Can we call Jack Dorsey out and ask him personally? Jack Dorsey, I am representing Stormy Daniels right now, and the world wants to know, Jack Dorsey, why are you defying her opportunity? Why are you censoring Stormy Daniels? Jack Dorsey, you have one chance. Come on, News Rocky. I'll bring you and Stormy back on. We'll have that discussion. I just did it for you, Stormy. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
There you go. He'll hear it, and we'll make sure he does. So let's talk about this. You're getting censored. Go ahead.
Well, censored. They just unverified me, which opens up. It's very dangerous for fans and other people, because they're getting catfished tons now.
Understood.
And I'm getting all these messages oh, so the Democrats don't need you anymore. That's why they took away. They used you, blah, blah. They're so stupid. I'm not even a Democrat, first of all. I'm Republican. Everybody knows that. Right. It doesn't mean I like Trump. It just means that they didn't use me. This is my own voice. Nobody uses me. And so it's as soon as all of that happens, I'm not important anymore. Right. And I understand that the reason for that is that people are so traumatized from the last 4 years. It created such a division in the country, and and COVID happened as well. So part of it's not even Trump's fault, but it's all the trauma of the last 4 years. Families being ripped apart, friends, it's crazy how traumatic the last 4 years was to a lot of people. And now that, Trump is out of office, people just want to move on. They just want to forget. They have PTSD and they just want to move on, and that's fine. And I get that, except what about me? I'm still here doing this. So when I think the Supreme Court also just wanted to forget that any of this happened. They just want all this stuff to go away. And so they didn't take the case, even though it's very clear that he did in fact lie about me being a liar. They should have absolutely taken my case. I'm extremely disappointed in the Supreme Court. I'm extremely disappointed in the message that it sends to bullies and defamation cases and all that stuff. And my attorney actually sent me something that I would like to read real quick. It's just a statement from him, because I said to him, I said, what do we do next? I don't know what to do. Like, I feel broken. I fought so hard for all these years for everybody and stood up for people who couldn't stand up for themselves, and I get slapped in the face. I've spent so much money and tears on this. What do we do now? And my attorney's response was, there's really no legal avenue for it regarding the defamation case. The suit was intended to hold him accountable for his lies and verbal assaults on you, and so it did that. It brought attention to it. The case that was filed by Avenatti was limited to a single offensive of purposeful lie. The court applied a Texas statute that knocked the case out without any opportunity to factually prove the lie and all the others he said. The court would not permit an amendment to the suit, setting forth more detail in the pattern of offensive defamation. It said you appealed to circuit court, and now ultimately Supreme Court would not reverse the lower court. You fought to hold him accountable, but true to his life, he of course slimed his way out of it. So the problem was that the problem was the California federal courts have been applying the state anti-SLAPP laws for years, and this case would have required them to reverse course. They're unwilling to do that. So the problem in a nutshell is that they knew they were wrong, but if they took my case and reversed the ruling, they would open the door for all of these other people that had been wrongfully ruled against.
So Pandora's box of possibly reopening other cases and suits exactly. Would have been the ramification. So you filed this in California, you said?
Avenatti did, yes.
How is that relationship with him? You guys are no longer apart. I just want to make the listeners here understand you no longer have that lawyer representing you. Is that correct?
Correct. I fired him. Gosh, it's been like 2 years now. Mm-hmm. It's been 2 years when I found out he forged my signature and was like taking money.
He ripped you off, actually, right? I mean, he stole. I mean, I don't want to make you uncomfortable with this conversation, but that's public knowledge that he stole money from you in a book deal. Was that right?
Correct. He forged my signature and intercepted my royalty and my payments for my book. And I mean, that's wire fraud as well, because he lived, they wired him the funds, and it's, we're going to court. We still don't have a court date for that.
What's he going up against? Nike too? Wasn't it Nike or something he's in hot water with? I forget.
Yeah. And I think that case is over. They found him guilty, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but
I think so.
I had nothing to do with that case. My case is entirely different.
Right. I got to tell you, he was the best dressed used car salesman. I got a lot of time to watch him with you over this last 7 days. He definitely came across really well. I want to move on from the negative. I want to add, I don't know. Let me summarize like this. You talked a little bit about this whole Trump thing, right? This whole surroundings and stuff. And I want to move on from it. But I want to ask you, you said you're a Republican, and you said you're also, I'm sure your family members and friends, you probably had people, anybody in your life supported Donald Trump that you've been kind of divided with over this time?
So many. Like, I've lost more friends than I can count. Like, people that I was best friends with that just stopped speaking to me, or it's been a complete disaster.
Do you have people that supported Trump that still support you?
What's that?
Do you have anybody in your life that supported Donald Trump but also supports you? Now, in other words, is that a possibility in your world?
Very few, but there are a couple. There are a couple. I'm not going to mention any names.
No, that's fine. I just ask because it's an interesting conversation. Families are divided. As you say, a country is divided. And, I'm strong in my position, and I don't think, as you opened up with, I could care not if the president of the United States, JFK set the tone for this, right? We all know about Marilyn Monroe and this is not newsworthy. And by the way, he wasn't a president, right? When this this took place. So move on is my opinion. As far as all the other stuff with Michael Cohen, let's get into it if you want to. I'd love to cover it, but it's up to you how far you want to talk about that.
It's been beat to death.
I agree with you. I'm not going to learn anything new today from the story. So I want to learn about you today is you got into this industry at 17 or 18 years old, if I read your bio correct?
The adult industry, yeah. I started dancing when I was 17, and I started doing adult movies when I was 22 or 23.
Did you move to LA to start doing the adult films?
I did. So I came out to LA with a girlfriend of mine who was scheduled to do a movie, and she just didn't want to come to California by herself. And basically said, hey, if you want to come with me, I'll buy you a plane ticket and we can see California. and maybe I can get you a part in a movie. And so that's what we did. And long story short, the movie that she was doing the scene in was for Wicked Pictures, and they saw me and liked me and offered me a contract. And it's funny because when I came out with her, I didn't even know that they had contract girls. I didn't know anything really about the business, except I liked watching the movies, and Wicked was my favorite company, and that's the set I ended up on. Mm-hmm. And the rest is kind of history. And then I did live in California. I did live in LA for about 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I moved to Vegas when I got pregnant with my daughter, just because it was cheaper and whatever. And then when she got a little bit older, I moved to Texas.
And that's when you actually, that whole incident back in prior to the election of 16 was in Las Vegas, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So, it's fun. So you have this sort of your entry into this industry. You also have this side of you. You're an entrepreneur. And it looks like you have started to get involved with developing some products, things in a different, in a field actually, so the listeners understand here. Again, this is Stormy Daniels. We're on News Rocky, and we're just so pleased to have your time today. Stormy and I have something in common, and I want you guys to listen. I am not in the adult film industry. I want to be clear, okay? I'm not well endowed enough to be in that industry, just for the record. I'd be fired on the spot. But anyways, I can tell you this. We're in the CBD business, right, Stormy?
Correct. So my backstory when it comes to the CBD stuff is it's, I started to hear about it when it became the hot thing a few years back, I guess, and didn't really pay it any attention. And I had a friend who has a CBD company here in LA. She was another director in the adult industry, actually. And I had a horseback riding accident and I was jumping my horse and I fell and sprained my pelvis, which actually hurts a lot worse than breaking it. So it gave, and then I broke 2 of the vertebrae in my back, a compression fracture in my back. And so I couldn't walk, long story short, because of the break and my pelvis was off. And I couldn't, it's terrifying when you can't stand up, my left leg would not work. I couldn't, you're telling it to work and it wouldn't move. And I thought I was paralyzed, and it was horrible. It was the most pain I've ever been in. And I went to the hospital and we found out all the stuff that was wrong. And of course they gave me pain pills, and I hate pain pills. And they're like, you're probably not going to be you're going to be in a wheelchair for a couple of weeks at least, probably up to a month, and then crutches. And it's going to be 3 months before you can walk normally. And my friend said, hey, I want you to try my CBD products. And so she sent them to me, and I sat on the counter for a couple of days and I didn't. And then I was like, you know what? Not to get kind of graphic, but there's inside my pelvis, I don't know how else to say this without just saying
Are we going inside of your pelvis right now, Stormy?
Yes.
Okay,
I felt like somebody kicked me in the vagina.
Okay,
basically.
All right.
There was some part inside that hurt that I couldn't figure out how to get to. All right. And so I started taking her CBD capsules, and I was like, can you use this? And because she also gave me some cream. Yep. And I was like, I can't get to it from the outside. I was like, can you use this internally? And she was like, yeah, just put it on a feminine product, a tampon, and put it in there. And I was like, okay, what do I have to lose? I couldn't walk. My daughter's pushed me through the house in a rolling office chair. Mm-hmm. So I tried it, and let me tell you, less than 48 hours later, I completely stopped taking all pain medication, just was taking the CBD. And in less than 3 weeks, I was back on my horse.
Wow.
Don't tell the doctor I did that.
Yeah, okay.
But I was able to walk again. And it was incredible how quickly it healed everything and healed the pain. What I was not prepared for, and that nobody really knows, I'm telling you for the first time, is that I was also dealing with some cancerous cells, cervical cancerous cells. Oh. And they tried to do the freezing thing and the laser thing or whatever, and it just kept coming back. And so I had an appointment scheduled to go in where they actually it's more surgery. They take out a piece to get it all out. And I went in for that follow-up to schedule the surgery, to do the surgery. And, they're checking, and nothing's more terrifying than when you're laying there with your feet up in the air and the doctor gets this weird look on their face and is like, give me 1 minute. I have to go get somebody. And I'm like,
scary.
Yeah. What's down there?
Right. Right.
I was actually afraid they were going to tell me I was pregnant or something. And so the doctor leaves and comes back.
Yep.
And long story short, they were trying to find, they were checking the location because they were going to do the surgery.
Yep.
And they couldn't find it. So putting the CBD stuff on the tampon actually is the only thing that I can think of that cleared up the cervical cancer.
Did you share that with the doctors then? Did you share what you had done, or did you not tell them?
Yeah. And the nurse actually said, well, we can't, the doctor wouldn't really say anything.
Right.
They don't like alternative treatments and stuff like that.
Right.
But the nurse afterwards, she was like, she's like, you know what? I've actually seen this a couple of times and I wish that people were more open to doing this. She was like, I've never seen it as dramatically as with you.
You know what the shitty part about that is? How many years and how many lives could have been helped by CBD or marijuana in our world?
Yeah.
And you think about what your story right there is a great example of, we're hearing this story. We knew up in this part of the country, there's a casino called Mohegan Sun. And actually there was a little girl who was a tribal member who her quality of life, the last 5 years of her life was totally turned around from CBD. It wasn't from natural medicine, the Western medicine style stuff. It was only CBD. So I'm just so glad to hear your story. Are you doing better? You don't have any reactions, anything? You're doing fine.
This was like, I guess it's been, it's been longer than that. That was like 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I've had no problems since then. It's pretty amazing.
CBD, in a sense, really helped get your life physically back together. Pretty amazing. Now, Stormy, how does it feel? I want to ask this question. In the industry that you're now in, there's a product called Stormy Daniels CBD out there, right?
Yes. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. Hang on one second.
Good. You just keep on rolling. Don't worry about it.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
So obviously when all of this stuff happened and everybody was using, this is one of the things that made me the most mad. When you asked me earlier if I felt like I had been exploited,
yeah,
I feel like my trademark and my name has been exploited because people started putting me in. I worked really hard to build my brand and to be, Stormy Daniels to be a thing. Not just in the adult industry, but just, I own my name, I own my trademark, I own all that stuff. I worked hard for it.
Right.
For license, and I had other deals in place that people paid me to license my name, and suddenly now people are making everything from Stormy Daniels candles to this to that. I'm just like,
yeah, you're not getting any royalties. You're getting nothing from those deals, right?
Right, and some of them were actually competing with deals that I did have. Like I have my own T-shirts and stuff on my website. I sell my own merch. Now I feel like I have bootleg merch out there. I feel like a rock star when they're selling T-shirts in the parking lot. I'm like, where did you get that? Yeah. That's not one of mine. Give me that. The
bootleg industry, you're a part. That's amazing when you think about it. Just your name alone probably sold millions of dollars for other people.
Shut up.
Sorry to be the reminder. Seriously, man, you got screwed by this whole concept, and it's so. How can you not go after those other businesses, or have you explored that?
Well, there was just so much, and I was doing it was just overwhelming.
All right.
But one of the big things is because of my experience with CBD, I was approached by a chemist who wanted to do a CBD line for me. And so I started, it was called Tempest, and we had the CBD lube and all this stuff. And now suddenly I find out that there's Stormy Daniels.
That's not your brand?
No, so there's a strain called Stormy Daniels.
Oh, you mean CBD? I'm sorry. Yes, there you go. Yeah. How did that happen? Yeah. So tell me what your experience learning about it.
And I found it on I actually had a fan come up to me and bring me like a joint or something.
CBD joint, right?
My name, my signature, my picture, everything, and I was like, that's not mine. So I was furious, and then I started watching all of these, I went on Instagram and checked it, and there's literally farms all across the world growing Stormy Daniels.
Yep.
The strain. Yep. And nobody approached me because I was like, I'm going to sue all of these people because that's my name, and my photo is on a lot of it. And my fans are thinking they're helping me. They're bringing it to me. I have a lot of friends, especially the girls in the business or like dancers and stuff. And they're like, I got to support my girl. Mm-hmm. I bought your, I went to the shop. I bought your weed. I bought your this. I bought your that. I'm like, I don't get anything for that. And none of these people thought to reach out to me and be like, hey, would you help us promote this? Except, the company that I'm with now, which is XOXO. Sarah actually came to an event and was like, hey, I'm a businesswoman and I'm ethical. Right. Would you like to, work with me on this? And I said, absolutely, because I have this message and I've been wanting to do CBD. And I think it's a good cross promotion because I have this story and it really helped me. And I just started this television show called Spooky Babes, or a ghost hunting show. Mm-hmm. And part of my show that makes it different than others is that you watch a lot of these other paranormal TV shows and they go in and they do whatever. And then you never find out what happened to the family. There's no follow-up care.
Right.
And I wanted my show to be different in the aspect that there's healing and stuff like that. So we do everything from like, if the house isn't even haunted, sometimes it's just black mold or pipes and these people need to move, we'll help them move. Or they're having sleep paralysis. And, even if the ghosts don't even exist, which does happen, you have children in the home and they're having nightmares, they're going to need some sort of follow-up care, whether it's just therapy or whatever. And a lot of people, when they start having paranormal activity in their home, they go to the doctor and they get prescribed all kinds of like drugs. Mm-hmm. And I think CBD would be a great alternative for that,
sleep habits and all. So what, can you maybe put together a CBD product for the ghost and just help them get out of there? Maybe you can start developing that.
Maybe I'm going to start saging with CBD.
Yeah, there you go. Get rid of the ghost that way.
Actually, have the opposite effect. Then they just want to hang out.
Yeah, they'll just chill out and just be all cool. So you got the Stormy Daniels product. There's actually somewhat of a line coming out. It's a smokable CBD product. Is that correct? It's going to be coming out with your brand on it.
Yes, that is accurate. We're doing pre-sales now. It's, pre-launch, and we have pre-rolls, and there's, 2 different kinds. They come, shareable ones, one for me, one for you, which I think is really cute. Yeah, and then the other one, it's D8 with Stormy, which I think is cute because it sounds like date with Stormy.
Yeah. D8's the hottest thing in the market. I had a product line called Fat Cat, and we did it with flavors on it, and same thing with the pre-roll products. The industry's interesting. I think you actually right now are coming in at the exact time coming out of COVID. There's a lot more interest in this smokable product. As we know, all these vape products are going off the market. This is actually going to replace it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's a great product. I'm really proud of it. I'm really happy that the company approached me. We're working together on it. Sarah's great. I love that she's a smart businesswoman too. I think it's us together. It's going to be a very powerful message. I'm excited to cross promote it with my, my paranormal stuff. I'm excited to cross promote it to my equestrian friends because, we get hurt a lot. Yep. That's a thing. Yep. I'm just really excited about the whole thing. And the CBD and my CBD infused lube is going to cross over to this as well. And it's such a great product for women that are going through menopause or have, feminine issues, or it's a really great product. I'm pretty excited about it.
I'm going to tell you, Stormy, I'm just, okay. I'm excited to hear you're more than just a story about this issue you had with the president, 45th. You're more, but you're an entrepreneur. You're a go-getter, and I can tell through your conversation with us today on News Rocky that you got a lot to live and you got a long life. How old's your daughter? I'm sorry, you mentioned that earlier. I forgot. What's her age?
She just turned 10.
Oh, you're right. That's a great age, 10 years old. Mine are old. Yeah. I have a 21-year-old daughter and a 24-year-old son, so I'm a little older, but 10 is a great age. You having fun with her? Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. She's a very, very mature 10, and she's always been very mature. I'm pretty sure she was born with a driver's license or something. Like she's never been a normal kid, which, they tell you that whatever your beliefs are, whether you believe in God or the universe, whatever there's that saying, God won't give you something that you can't handle. Mm-hmm. And I can't imagine another child going through the last 4 years. I don't think they could handle it. And she's got it, man.
How was it? How was it affected? Paparazzi, the press, were they all over you all the time? Were they even going at pictures of her, trying to get in touch with her to get to you?
So when the story broke and we woke up and there's news vans in front of the house, we had to get her out of there. And that's one of the reasons I left and stayed on tour for so long, was to protect her. There's never been a picture, to my knowledge, posted of her. No press or even TMZ hasn't gotten her name correct. We've protected her very well. She would have had to be pulled out of school and homeschooled probably when all this happened. But luckily she got kicked out of school when she was 3 because she stood on a chair and said, "I'm surrounded by idiots," after slapping a Chick-fil-A breakfast sandwich out of another child's hand because they don't support gay rights. That's when she was 3.
All right.
So she's obviously her mother's daughter.
Yeah.
But to find out, she knows what I do for a living. I've never lied to her. Obviously I have filtered age appropriate, I don't be like, mommy fucks people for money. No,
Right,
she just
right.
knows that there's, movies and television things that are not age appropriate, and mommy works on those. She doesn't really know what sex is yet. We're about to cross that bridge.
Yeah.
Everybody send good vibes.
Yeah.
I've never lied to her. She hasn't, she understands that I had to be gone for a while. And now that things have settled and she's older, and not as intimidated, I would fear for the paparazzi that tried to like get in her face, because
She'll take care
she
of him.
would probably beat them up.
She'll take care of
Oh,
him.
she can handle herself. No problem.
I think she's got a good
she also
example
rides
for.
horses and
She's got a good example for a strong woman figure in her life, in you, Stormy. So we talked about a lot of different things, sort of your ride through this last few years, your experience in the industry. We talked about your entrepreneurial sort of experience here. When is your product actually launching? When is that going to go out to the market?
Definitely in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
You can go to our website. It's teamxoxo.com and do orders and check it out. I think, we're adding to it every day.
Just
That's
so
more of a question.
Sarah is.
I know that the big.
Yeah, I just want to say Sarah and I also have done some business. That's how you got connected with me. So I just want to say a shout out to Sarah, because she is a rock star in your industry that you're going into.
Yeah, and I know that I think it got, that storm, that winter apocalypse, whatever just happened in Texas and all that stuff. It kind of delayed shipping and stuff. I have stuff that's just personal items that I've shipped out, from my merch store that are just stuck in Memphis and Dallas. Things are just now starting to thaw out. So the launch date might be a little askew now. I'm not sure. But she'll be able to tell you, like I said, just go to the website. It's teamxoxo.com and it'll have all the information.
Perfect. So we have you for a little bit longer, I hope. And I wanted to ask you somewhat about, what was your childhood like? What was Stormy? And you obviously, you were not born Stormy. This, as you say, happened later on in life. But Stephanie, how was it to be Stephanie growing up?
Don't say that word.
I'm sorry.
Deal breaker.
Okay, sorry.
Nobody calls me that, but my mother and the IRS, and I fucking hate them both.
Well, I just went to my accountant. I'm really upset with the IRS too, so I apologize for that. Stormy Daniels, how was it like growing up as a young person?
It was pretty terrible. Like for those who've read my book, they know it was pretty shitty. We lived in lower income area. I grew up in Baton Rouge before I moved to New Orleans, and my mom wasn't there. My parents split up when I was 4. My mom would disappear for like weeks at a time. I think that's why I'm so food motivated now. That's how Trump got me up to the room in the first place. He promised me dinner, but like we would go for a long time without food or electricity. And I mean, it's all in the book. And I started riding horses. I always wanted to ride horses. I loved horses, like a lot of little girls do. Mm-hmm. And when I was 11 and started middle school, another girl I met, you meet new friends, and my friend Miranda told me that she rode horses, and this girl, Miranda, said, "Oh, I have horseback, I ride horses." And I was like, "I'm your new best friend." Mm-hmm. And I just forced this girl to be my friend. Luckily, we're still friends. Mm-hmm. And her parents would pick us up at school and take us for riding lessons. And I did that for a long time. And then I got my own horse. Probably a year later, I worked at the barn to feed and clean the stalls and all that stuff to cover the cost of the horse. And I really believe that that's what got me out of a pretty terrible situation, because horses are a lot of work. For those who don't know, like, it's not like a golf clubs or any other hobby where you can put it aside and just pick it back up. No, they require constant care. And it's not even like a dog or a cat. Like, they're the most accident prone, and they're your athletic partner. So if you don't ride your horse for a couple of months and then you want to take it to a show, it's going to get hurt. It's like if you decided to go run a marathon and haven't worked up to it. So there are a lot of dedication, a lot of commitment. And I had to learn all that, and I had to work to pay for it. And the stable was on the other side of town. It was very far away from where we lived. And so it also physically got me out of that area, which was nice, because a lot of the people I grew up with are still in that area. Like, they never left, and they have like drug problems or addictions and a bunch of kids. And, mm-hmm. People might judge me and say like, "Oh, you got out by doing porn." Mm-hmm. But I have made a name for myself, a business. I think I came out pretty good. Yeah, I mean, do you go back to your same community at all? Do you ever go back? No, my mother's there. I don't go anywhere near it. I try to drive. If I have to go through Baton Rouge, I try to drive as fast as possible. But I moved back to New Orleans a few years ago, and have a place there. Actually, I don't physically have a place there right now. When COVID started, I let that place go and just stayed in my home in Dallas. But New Orleans will always be my home. And I go there. I mean, here lately, we've been there quite a bit. Me and my partner, Justin, in the TV show, are based out of New Orleans.
Okay. Very cool. So your upbringing, you know, and again, the book, and I apologize, I should have brought that up. I wasn't able to read the whole book, but I did take some looks at, you know, online quotes and things that you put out there about it. The book, was that a therapeutic move for you? Did you feel good to be able to share your story, not the story about everything, all the noise with the corporate media, but who you are?
Yes and no, like mostly yes. So it was kind of a crazy, you know, I wrote that book in like 4 weeks because they wanted it so fast. And if you read it, like a lot of people accuse me of like making it up or not writing it myself. But if you read it, it's very clearly me. Like just, I started to read some of it and I was like, oh my God, I say fuck way too much. But it's definitely my voice. What they would do is I would talk and they would record it and then somebody else would type it for me, but it's definitely me. And I wrote the book because when I did 60 Minutes, I told you, they interviewed me for 3.5 hours and used 22 minutes of it. And only 18 of me even talking. They did the stupid beat reel footage of me like watering flowers. I don't even have flowers. It wasn't even my house. It's so frustrating. And so they didn't say any of the stuff. They cut everything out of the episode that I really wanted to get out there. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to write a book because nobody can change it. Well, I didn't realize most people don't read. It's, you know, my book went to number 7 on the New York Times bestseller list, but it still is astounding to me how many people don't know this like story. I'm like, so everybody now is like, when's your next book? You're going to write another book? You're such a great writer. I'm like, I don't know. Nobody reads. But it was very cathartic to get all of that stuff out and all of that. And there was some stuff about childhood abuse in the book that I had never talked about before. And in the first draft, it's not in there. I struggled with like wanting to put it in there and not wanting to put it in there. And I didn't want to put it in there because I didn't want people to latch onto it and think that that's the reason that I got into the adult business, because that's the go-to. Oh, she must have been sexually assaulted. Her daddy must have raped her. Uncle Bob put his fingers in her butt or whatever. Like people think that anybody in the adult business is damaged. And so I didn't want to feed into that. And it's not the reason I'm in the business. So I didn't have it in the first draft of the book. And it was at the editors or whatever getting proofread. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to tell my story, it needs to be the full story. So I went back and I added that stuff in there. And it was pretty, and then I forgot about it. It's like I purged and I got it out and I forgot it was in there. And then, so I wrote the book in, I think, June, and it came out in October, I think, something like that. There was a couple months where I had finished writing it and I almost forgot that it existed in a way. I knew it was coming because I was doing press for it. And the very first freaking interview that I did to promote the book, the first sit-down television interview I did, it was for Australian TV show. This woman out the gate was like, so what did it feel like to be raped when you were 9? And I fucking lost my shit. You know what I mean? I was like, how do you just come out the gate with that? And it was something I never talked about. And I think I forgot that I put it in there or something. And it was super, super traumatic for me. And I went on this like terrible downward spiral where I was like, couldn't talk about it. But then I started having people message me and say like, it was very powerful for them and that they were able to face their accusers and they were able to do this and that. And the most shocking part about that, because I got a lot of those messages and emails and things like that, was I had a couple of people that I knew, like personal friends that I knew very, very well for years and years and years. Sometimes one of them in particular for 30 something years. And that person confided in me and it was things I never knew. And now they're in therapy and they say it's because of my book. So to answer your question, because I went a very long way about answering your question, is that it was definitely a roller coaster ride. When the book first came out, I would have said, I wish I'd never wrote this book. Now I'm glad that I did.
You shared your story. And so I'm going to share something with you about me. I was 9 and I was molested by a 16-year-old babysitter. And I've never said it publicly in my life before. Never before have I shared that publicly. You know, I got to tell you, it does affect, and this was a young woman babysitter. I was about 9 years old, and I was subjected. And when you talk about what I'm sharing right now with you, is most people in the world are like, you're a guy, that's okay. But they don't realize there's still an effect on that young child and how it affects you in your life. So you know what, Stormy Daniels, you just gave me inspiration to actually tell the truth about myself, and I've never shared it before.
You made me cry.
Well, maybe I'll start crying too, because it's those stories that need to be shared. So I appreciate you sharing that. It helped me, and I'm okay. I'm solid with who I am and where I am, and I'm sorry I'm making you cry. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm a Pisces. I cry about everything.
It's
But that's and I have the reason it's so upsetting for me is, like I told you, I had some friends come forward and tell us. One of the ones that I'm talking about, I'm not going to out him or say, was also a man, and he never told anybody because people would be like, oh, there you high five. It's like,
right.
they don't think that be abused or molested or get me too'd or whatever, and it's so false.
Right, and it has long-term effect on
damage from it.
Our society's getting better with, I think, this conversation. But you want to take a second? You got a drink or something near you?
I'm good.
Okay. Listen, I thank you for letting me share my story, and thank you for sharing that personal story. I did know, some of the part of the book, and I knew that part, and I didn't really plan to actually open up with you, but the way you spoke just inspired me to share my story. Let's move on from this. Let's get on to what's the future for Stormy Daniels. Like where can we expect you to be? I think you're going to be on the cover of Forbes magazine someday. What's going on in the future with you?
Obviously we have the CBD stuff. I'm pretty excited. We're launching that. I hope that that's gonna do well, obviously, and be able to help people. I am excited to be able to cross promote that. Like I said, Spooky Babes, the paranormal show. That's where I have focused all of my energy and, I have to be honest, all of my money into producing this show, which is a very interesting story. You can actually go to that website and read about it if you want. It's SpookyBabesShow.com.
Okay.
And I just want to be able to ghost hunt and live happily ever after, I guess. I mean, that's, kind of a tough one to say. I'm directing a horror movie. It's called Axe to Grind 2. I was, not the original director. I didn't write the film. I'm not the original director. There was an issue with the director, and I stepped up and kind of untangled a big mess and fought some discrimination there. So look for that. That's pretty cool.
Very cool.
And then we're just touring. Huh?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm listening.
What's that?
I'm listening. Go ahead.
But I mean, I guess my main focus right now is definitely the CBD line and the Spooky Babe stuff. And we're starting to do residential cases. I'm also doing tarot readings and mediumship, which sounds crazy, but
how are you doing that? Like online, or are you doing one-on-ones? How are you doing your readings?
So if it's a public, I do them in person. I did one last night, which was really cool, for the bass player for the band Cold.
Okay.
And I'm a big fan, so I actually got to go to her house and do her cards last night, and she gave me a video testimony. I made her cry. I make everybody cry.
Awesome.
But I do them online. So the way that I do them is I pull the cards and I film myself and upload it to YouTube, so the person gets a private YouTube link so they can watch it as much as they want.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people do it live, like on FaceTime or whatever.
Yep.
I don't do it that way because there's a lot of space between, like, I pull the cards and I focus, and so they'd have like all this dead time.
Right.
So, and also I've learned that because I'm so good with body language from being a dancer for so long, that if I'm doing it live, it's hard for me not to like cheat, I guess.
Right,
so
right.
I do it without, I'll just I don't know anything about the person, and I'll cards and film the reading and send it to them. And
have you always been someone that could read? Have you always been someone that could read, Stormy?
No.
You had this ability to sort of, understand, I guess, a higher spirit in people? Can you hear me?
I think I could. I just didn't actually do anything with it. I just started doing cards about 2 months ago, and so far it's really good. I feel like I've done some good things for some people. I've predicted some stuff. I found, somebody had a family member that was missing, and I was able to locate them. Sadly, they passed.
Oh, wow.
I just want to continue to do things to help people like that.
That's awesome. So let me ask you now. I'm going to shift a little bit. Who was the one interview you thought you were going to get, but no, he or she didn't ask you on the show?
Ooh, Colbert or Jimmy Fallon. I was like,
You never went on Rogan. Why?
He said no. He didn't want me.
So were you surprised by that? Wouldn't you have thought that Joe Rogan would have wanted you?
Yeah, he said no. I mean, I didn't ask him. Somebody asked for him. Nope. But,
Really?
Oh, well, I don't care.
Interesting. So I had Alex Jones on my show last week, and I'm going to be going on his show. And I know, you bring his name up, and I actually liked Alex. He's actually a guy, he's from Texas. I don't know if you know that. You probably do. You do. You give me the yeah. So anyways, but interesting enough, you would think that Joe Rogan would be the guy to say, hey, I want to hear the story. So I was kind of surprised by that. Which one is the one interview you maybe regret the most? Don't say News Rocky, please.
I won't. Maybe 60 Minutes, because if I was just gonna sell all those salacious details, I should have gotten fucking paid for it, because they did me kind of dirty. Who was the biggest jerk to me, but he did get a lot of shit for it, was Bill Maher. He's a dick.
Yeah, he is a dick. He's a dick. He's a dick. He loves to be arrogant and sort of intellectual and right.
Yeah, my favorite moment of all of it, though, was that I got to go on SNL and I got to say, like, live,
Yeah, that was cool. I saw that last night. That was really cool. Alec Baldwin, and all of a sudden you're there on the phone. That was an amazing thing. So you've had a great experience. I mean, this some definitely tragic things, some crazy stuff. But do you think overall you're happy where you are in life and you wouldn't change a thing?
Oh, I wouldn't say that. Definitely not.
You change a few things.
I lost a lot of friends, a lot of relationships. I lost my career. It's been very difficult. And anybody I sleep with now is an Eskimo brother with Trump, and most people aren't very cool with that. Okay.
Well, we won't go there with that one, but we'll leave that one alone. And do you think that let me ask you this. What was the one you wanted to go in? Did you say which one you wanted to go on? Which news interview?
Which show?
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon. He seems like he.
I thought you were going to say News Rocky. You're supposed to say News Rocky. That's the show you're on with Kevin right now. That's my show.
I'm here.
No, I know. That's why you're here with me, because you so badly wanted to be on this show with us and get interviewed today. Listen,
I feel like we've had a very intimate moment this morning.
I think we did, and I want to respect your time. I think we're approaching about an hour, so I want to be kind of cool with your time, because I know you're a busy lady out there doing your thing. Hopefully, maybe sometime we can get you back on the show. We'd love to have you come back on again and share your, whatever it is you want to talk about. Also, if you're ever on the East Coast by the casinos, Mohegan Sun or Foxwoods, that's where we're at. We'd love to have you in the studio and kind of live at some point.
So I did the Mohegan Connecticut last year.
Did you?
At the comedy club, because I do stand-up comedy, and I actually did that one. It was a lot of fun, yeah.
Well, if you come back, make sure that we know about it and we can connect through Sarah. I want to ask you, Stormy, you're amazingly comfortable interview, and I got to be honest. Coming into this, I didn't know what I was going to come into. I didn't, I saw a lot of your videos from your interviews, but you're really laid back, and I think you're real. I think the problem that you faced over the last year plus. Or 4 or 5 years has been that corporate media attempt to sort of push those narratives, and it's misleading to the public. I hope that when people watch this show today, News Rocky, they're going to realize, you're just an average person, just doing your thing, and actually you smile a lot, and I like that. So, any parting words you want to say before we end the interview, Stormy?
No, just all the places they can find me. Obviously, and don't give money to anyone saying that they're me. Like, I'm not going on dates with people. Like, they keep getting catfish, and I feel terrible. But obviously, check out teamxo.com for the CBD stuff, and please check out spookybabeshow.com for all your ghost hunting stuff. All that stuff. We'll definitely be following you, and again, we'll connect with you through Sarah, and hopefully get you back on with us. And Stormy, thank you so much for coming on today. At some point, you and I will get on a call with Sarah at some point and talk about some other stuff, and look forward to making sure people get to see this video. Thank you, Stormy Daniels. You're a real person, and I appreciate you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Guys, you just witnessed, I think, some amazing, the News Rocky show has been doing some amazing things, but this has been one of our best shows to date. Certainly the opportunity to meet Stormy Daniels. I told Stormy, I was a Trump supporter and all that stuff and voted for him. And it's not the fact that this is about Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels. It's more about Stormy Daniels, her real story. When you watch 60 Minutes or you watched any of the corporate interviews that Stormy was going on during this whole experience, each and every one of those media sources, they were there to exploit. They wanted to talk about the president's penis and his features. They wanted to talk about the sexual aspect of the situation. And I'm not an attorney. I'm not here to defend one side or the other. But I can certainly tell you that I didn't want to talk about all that. I wanted to talk about Stormy Daniels, the person, because that's a human, right? And so, 60 Minutes, CNN, Bill Maher, the rest of you people out there should realize, you know what? Just talk to people. You don't have to agree with everything they say or everything they do. You have to like. But what you should be able to do is show respect. This person was thrust upon us, not probably by a lot of her own choice, maybe in some cases her own choice. Regardless, the reality is corporate media drove this narrative right to the end. And now Stormy Daniels sits rebuilding her career, rebuilding her opportunities. She's a go-getter and an entrepreneur. So I give her a lot of credit. I also opened up about a personal story today, something that I've never shared publicly in my life before. Only a few people in my life know my story. But you know what the fact is? I'm okay. But there's a victim out there that might not be. So make sure we are open with each other and share. Make sure that we don't help children become more victims in the future. I definitely took that away from this interview with Stormy Daniels as well. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Stormy Daniels episode. This is amazing. I feel like I just need to go get a drink now and relax a little bit. Maybe, heck, I might even smoke a big fatty. Who knows? You guys have a great day. I'll see you in the ring tomorrow on News Rocky. Thank you so much.